Hello everybody, welcome back to the Olympic Exclusion Zone. We are here today for our 4th episode of our playthrough. And in today's episode, I just want to start off by saying that at the end of our last episode, I was a friggin' dingus. I basically didn't leave myself any time whatsoever to do any kind of outro to the clip, and I just kind of had to jankily throw one in towards the end of the drive when we were heading towards the beam of light to get back to the auto shop. And yeah, it was a bit silly. Like, Oppie was talking to us and basically telling us what to do next and stuff like that. And yeah, I ended the recording about 6 seconds after that. It was just silly. So hopefully in future I will keep it in my mind to make sure that I have enough time at the end of episodes and at the start of episodes to make sure I'm doing proper intros and outros to them. Because the last thing I want to do is be talking over story elements from the game and story parts from the characters whilst they're talking to us. And in today's episode, we are going to spend the first 5 or 10 minutes just going over the car. We desperately need to do some repairs on it. You might have noticed at the end of episode 3, we had breached the protection whilst we were driving towards the beam of light and we were taking radiation damage. So that's something I didn't realise up until that point, which was that the car is your safe space, but if the protection is breached from taking too much damage, then you can still take damage whilst you're in there. So I'm going to have to pay much more attention to that in the future. We're also going to go through and build our antenna. I think she wants us to build it on the roof. We also need to maybe have a look at finding some more blueprints. I'm not sure if she's kind of leaving them scattered around the auto shop or if we have to go and use something to get them. Not sure about that yet. I'm assuming there's some kind of upgrade system. I wouldn't be gathering all of these crafting materials if we weren't going to put them towards upgrading the car, especially because it looks all battered and broken at the minute. So yeah, we'll get cracking with that, and then we'll start off our second quest and whatever it is that she wants us to do next.
Antenna signals coming through loud and clear. Give it a moment to initialize. Make sure to empty your trunk before heading back out. You'll need the space. And we're patched. Everything's in working shape, more or less. I've hooked up the antenna to the route planner. Give it a look after you're done peeping through my garage.
Okay, so whilst we do a little bit of inventory Tetris and whilst we fix these new parts onto our car, as soon as we need them, Thanks for those, Oppie. Let's just quickly go over a couple of things I noticed just then. First of all is the best thing in the game so far, which is the transfer trunk. Thank you, Christ, for giving us something that's going to make transferring inventory and crafting materials nice and easy. I love the fact that you can hold it in your hands, view both inventories whilst transferring stuff over, and carry it as well, so you don't have to pick it up, put it down, transfer, pick it up, put it down, transfer. It's just lovely. I love it. The other thing I noticed as well is that the fabrication station, so the screen that we use to learn the antenna, or to build the antenna, appears to be where we're going to learn new blueprints and stuff going forward. So upgrades for the car, maybe upgrades for ourselves, all that good stuff. That seems to be where it is. I'm glad that we've been shown that. It also, I'm not sure if you noticed, but in the top left corner of that screen when we were looking at the station, said that we had 3.5 stable somethings. My guess would be that they would be the stable energy that we acquired from the anchors we picked up and put into the arc device on our front seat. So I think that collecting all 4 of the anchors from that first drive was a better idea than just getting one and travelling back straight away. I imagine that crafting new blueprints and new upgrades and stuff will probably cost some of that energy, so the more the better. So yeah, we're looking pretty good. We're going to finish fixing up the car and then get started on our next drive. Okay, so we've just gone through our pre-mission or our pre-quest checklist, or our driver's checklist to fix up the car, make sure we've got all the bits and pieces we're going to need. Haven't actually used any of these battery packs before, so I imagine there's going to be something out there that will probably drain our battery in one go, or maybe slowly drain it over time, and we'll have to make sure we keep it charged. I've also installed a new headlight, which I really don't like because it looks completely different to the other one. I like things to be symmetrical when it comes to cars. Like, I can probably imagine how mental I'm going over the fact that some of my car, like, doors and panels are looking quite new and quite decent, and then some of them just look rusted and put together with duct tape. So yeah, definitely not enjoying that one. I think as soon as I get the ability to upgrade all these parts to the same part that's better than the current ones, then yes, we'll definitely be jumping on that opportunity.
Much as I'd like to send you on a one-way trip out of here, Tobias won't let me hear the end of it if I don't test your car for this remnant thing. But we can't do that by staying put, and the instability's made a mess of the roads here. Our maps get outdated as quickly as we draw them. Luckily, you've got those wheels and my genius, so here's the plan. With that antenna fixed, you can now detect stabilized road junctions in the outer zone. The Arc device will chart the roads as you drive and allow us to find ways to get you where you need to go. But you have to make it back with the data intact, and only returning to the garage through a gateway will do. So, get driving. And don't forget to fix up your car as you go.
Okay, so we have picked our next destination and we are ready to go. The car is repaired, we have all of our tools and our repairing parts. We have installed our new handbrake system, which allows us to skid on demand, as they like to call it. I'm not sure how useful this is going to be, as I'm finding the driving quite hectic at the moment, especially with the POV, like from inside the car. Like, I kind of want my point of view to be from behind the car if I'm going to utilize things like skidding and drifting, that kind of stuff. But the other thing that kind of bugs me about the driving a little bit, which I haven't looked into yet, is having the camera not auto center whilst you're driving. So what I mean by auto center is that it's fixed on a point on like the middle of the windscreen, so you've got like the whole windscreen view, and you know, you can look away using the mouse and stuff. Like, you can look at the map, or you can look out the window at something as you're passing. But then after a few seconds of driving straight, it will, like, the camera will auto center back to that view of the windscreen, so that, you know, so that you can focus on doing other things whilst you're driving around without having to worry about where your camera's pointed. You'll have noticed on the past couple of episodes that my camera has kind of been a bit askew whilst driving through some hectic moments, and especially on that last one when we were driving down hills to get to the gateway. Yeah, it wasn't a great one, that one. But we're going to crack on with our next drive and discover some more of this zone.
You need to survive in here long enough to find a way out, and you can't do that without learning what to avoid. Why don't you make use of that headset scanner on your drive? Learn a thing or two while you're at it?
The remnants are like us in a way. Those of us who chose to stay behind, we are as discarded and forgotten as they are.
And by chose to stay, you mean actively defying government orders to evacuate? Then yes. You remember how we went without electricity for 4 months to dodge the clearing crews? There's, like, what? Only 100 of us left?
If even that. Frankly, I'm surprised so many of us were unable to move on, for one reason or another.
Oh, speak for yourself. I'm here for the hunt. Hey, even better now there's no one to get in our way.
So, it seems as though the objective for this particular quest is to scan 5 of the anomalies, so the strange goings-on that we've seen around on previous drives. So on the last one, when we saw the bits of ground that just started rising up after we picked up the anchors, that's an anomaly. Those strange floating type of like scrap ball things that we've seen, the ones we couldn't tell if they were friendly or hostile, those things are anomalies. I also think the mannequins that we've seen out and about are anomalies as well, but I could be wrong about that. We'll test out that theory and see if they are. And they're also wanting to test whether or not my car is a remnant. Now, I'm not entirely sure what a remnant is. We're just going to have a quick refresher on what's happened so far. So our car is a remnant, and they have latched onto me, who is a breacher. So my character, the person I'm controlling, the person driving the car currently, is a breacher. We have breached our way into the Olympic exclusion zone, and the remnant car has latched onto us. And the only thing we really know about this remnant so far is that over time it will slowly drive us mad. So hopefully, as we discover a bit more about what a remnant is, we might even discover a way to maybe make it not do that. And they want to perform some kind of test to discover whether or not the car is actually a remnant, or maybe it's to discover what type of remnant it is, or I suppose we'll find out after we've done said test. So for now, we're just going to drive around, gather some crafting materials, scan these 5 anomalies, see what we can discover, and then we'll go and pick up these glowing balls of doom, or the anchors as they're called.
Don't let these junctions fool you. They're as moody as the rest of the zone and will turn on you in a second. Most junctions are pit stops on the way to other destinations. Only some are stable enough to open a gateway without collapsing in on itself. Each is needy in their own way and must be treated accordingly. The Arctivice needs different charge levels to overcome the conditions for a gateway. You'll have to feed anchors to the Arctivice until it's satisfied, and she'll tell you how many she needs at any given time.
Hey, driver, not to be a downer or nothing, but I'm wondering what we do if you can't find a way out of the zone.
They got themselves over the wall. They'll find a way to survive here like the rest of us. Or not. Won't be my problem at that point.
I'd hardly call call what we're doing here surviving.
Ugh, look, hey, both of you always going on and on about putting up with this.
Ensuring that. There's more to life than that, you know. You, for example, Oppie, you're brilliant. You controlled fundamental forces of nature with your fingertips. Both of you did.
Slow down there, kid. We were scientists, not superheroes.
Oh, I mean, look, hey, to someone who was all thumbs when it came to science, they're one and the same. I just don't understand why you're wasting away here, burrowed away in the zone. Both of you, you're sitting on so much lost potential.
Potential is a carrot on a stick for the young. An illusion to keep you forging on when you should have given up long ago. Nothing had more potential than limb technology. And look what it did to the Olympic Peninsula.
What I did. Look around. We're stuck here. For good. All we can do is survive. Everything else is moot.
I forgot what a charmer you are, Oppie. An absolute living ray of sunshine and optimism.
Okay, so now that we've left a marker on that building just up the road, I think this is a pretty good point to end this current episode. I'm pretty certain that we've completed the objective. It did say to scan 5 anomalies or resources, but I only remember scanning 1. Although maybe it counts looking at resources that you've picked up from scrapping a car or something. But as far as I'm aware, it looks as though we've completed the objective. We are going to continue driving around and scanning the rest of them, but for now the quest is just telling us to collect anchors and charge the device and head back. to the auto shop, where I imagine we'll have the next quest given to us, or the next bit of story. We did also learn that Oppie seems to be the main person responsible for what happened here, this Olympic exclusion zone. At least she seems to take the responsibility for what happened. Poor thing. We've also learned that the remnants are former workers and possibly people who used to live in the area before everything went to heck. So I would imagine that some of them have maybe nefarious purposes, and some of the people are just trying to get by, and obviously like these guys, they're trying to just survive, or as Oppie seems to be resigned to her fate of just being here indefinitely. So maybe we'll find a way to get them all out at some point in the future. Thank you all for watching this episode, and I'll catch you in the next one.